Hello again. I been meaning to do a color profile video for a while. Hope the sound is better this time. I still have not received my microphone. What can I say? And my voice is hopefully not too faint that you can't understand what I'm saying. So what I want to do today is an output profile through my Epson printer. It could be any printer, any output device, but I'm going to be doing it with an Epson printer, inkjet. Epson printer, all inkjet. So first thing is to locate a target. Which target I'm going to be using? Question is, am I going to be doing a CMYK output profile or an RGB output profile? And for the need of this demonstration, I'm not going to do anything too fancy. I'm going to be doing just a simple basic RGB profile so you can see the process. Now I'm trying to locate here the RGB target I'm looking for. There's some over here, there's some over here, but I can't seem to find the one I need to find. So I'm going to pause for a video for a second and go fetch it from some other sources. Okay, I'm back. Well, looks like I needed glasses because the file I was looking for was right here underneath my nose. So I'm going to open this file here. It's called TC 2.1 2.83 RGB DTP41.tiff. So let's open it and see what it is. So when I open it up, I have my color settings set up to prompt me anytime that the document does not have an embedded RGB profile, and in this case I'm going to be comfortable with leaving with the default sRGB that I have set up currently. Now it is an RGB profile. How do we know it's an RGB image? Let's inspect the channels. So channels, it shows a red channel, a green channel, and a blue channel. So it's not a CMYK image, it's not a grayscale image, it's an RGB image. So in this case, I'm going to be sending this image to my Epson printer and so try to capture its behavior in RGB printing mode. The printer can print CMYK as well, but it has to do some quirks, and as you may have read, convert internally the RGB image to or the CMYK image to RGB. So let's go now try to print this on our printer. On this printer, let's go to the print menu. Let's see what default printer comes up. Oh, it's exactly the right printer I'm looking for, and the sheet size seems okay. So now I need to specify that the printer does not touch the color on the way. So how do I do that? Let's go under mode. Okay, this is not the right mode. Let's click the custom menu. See what it has. Aha! See, the fourth entry here is off, no color adjustment. So this is the settings I want to use so that the driver, this thing here, does not throw its intelligence onto these colors that, frankly, what would they know what they're supposed to look like? So I'm going to click OK. The rest is OK. And now I'm back here. Now it says it's here color handling, printer manage Photoshop, or color, or Photoshop manages color. Sorry. So I'm going to leave it at printer manages color because that's what I want. I don't want Photoshop to touch the color on the way. So I'm going to hit the print button, and now I'm going to turn to my printer to see what goes on. This is the status window that appears. It's going to show ink levels, blah blah blah. I can't hit the stop button, but if I do, it's going to stop printing. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to turn over to the printer and see if I can capture any of it while it's printing. Okay, so this is my printer, the LCD panel. If you ever heard these machines, they do these noises. when they're, I don't know what they're doing with the head, but let's back up and see what the magic. It's supposed to spit out something looks like 2 pages of paper with my precious target on it. Let's see what it does. I'm going to back up a little bit over here so you can a better view of the process. So you have to be patient because it doesn't happen instantly, and incidentally I'm not using too high of a resolution on this printer. I'm using 720 by 720, which I find for really most commercial work quite satisfactory. But I'm not a photographer and I'm not interested in squeezing every ounce of detail of pixels out of my images to please my clients or to please my ego. So I'm leaving it at 720 and it speeds things up compared to 12, what it is, 1440 or 2880, which is the sound is coming off the built-in microphone. Okay, so this is the target want. This is what we want. So I'm going to bring it over here to my table because I'm going to need to cut it. I'm going to pause the video and come back in a sec. Okay, I'm back with my my drawing table and my knife and my target that I now need to cut. Cutting these targets is such a pain in the neck. The target must be cut precisely, or enough at least on the dotted line, and then I need to cut the other pieces. As you'll see, it's in 2 parts, so we'll see how far we go with it. Here's the second part. Now the top and the bottom are a different story, because the bottom, I'm going to trust the software that it does a good job of laying out the target for measuring purposes. Sometimes there are troubles, as you'll discover, but most of the times, you know, it's okay. These things need to be tested, and nothing like testing it yourself. Okay, I need 1 extra cut in the middle. Now I hate to put my ruler on top of the color patches, freshly colored patches or dried color patch, however long they have dried, I don't care. I'd rather use some kind of protective sheet so that I don't mess it up, dirty it up, and that's it. So I have 2 pieces, something called 1 of 2, and this is the 2 of 2. So these form 2 parts, and when they're going to be assembled by the software, they're going to make a complete part. Now let's go to this software and see if we can make any sense of what it's trying to do. So I'm going to pull it a little bit on the side, and I'm going to close this window and close this window, and I'm going to go back to this window called Measure Tool. Now it's very important. Maybe I should try to zoom in so you could see what's going on. Let's see if I can zoom in. Okay, it's going at that rate. It's a little out of focus. I'll stop and okay, I hope it's in better focus, but doesn't look better focus. Let's try first. It needs to know what devices we're going to be using. So I'm going to have to press this button. And now, since I have not plugged in the device in the computer, not much is going to happen. So I'm going to turn to my device over here, which is a DTP41, and I'm going to be reaching out for this cable and plug this cable in the back of the computer. This is an RS-232 cable, but I know that other communications are supported. I think they can use USB and this type of model. The older models are all using RS-232, so you need some kind of adapter if you want to use it with newer machines. So I connected it, and now let's see if I can come back over here to see it's out of focus. I can't really help. Let me, okay, now it's in better focus. So I'm going to close this window. Maybe I should not. Let me just, now I see there's a whole bunch of instruments that come up here, and I need to locate the one that matches my instrument. So DTP41, now it's going to try to find it. So I'm going to use COM2, not found. How about COM4? Not found. COM3. Ah, we may have an answer on COM3. Wow. Okay, not found on COM3. How about COM1? COM1 is okay, you see that? Now I want to check this because I don't want to be capturing spectral data. And the mode of this instrument is only one, it's reflection. So I'm going to close this window. Okay, now let's see what else I need to do. I'm going to go down here to the chart button, which is going to bring up this window. Sorry about the focus and the zoom. It's a little awkward, but you'll get the picture in a second. Now over here I'm going to select the type of chart I want to measure with the instrument, and I'm looking for TC 2.83 DTP41. You see that? Now I'm going to hit start, and it did a beep. You may have heard the beep. Maybe it was not loud enough. It's very complicated at that point. Let's see if I can. It says read strip A. Okay, that's what it wants to do. You see that? Now it's not going to do much until I actually calibrate the unit. So I'm gonna widen the angle a little bit so you can see what I did, because I brought the instrument on the left hand side of my table. So now I'm gonna make some room, move it over, because I have this big tripod and I can't, well, I could, but I don't want to step over it and trip it and break anything. So the first thing I need to have is these. This is a calibration target. It comes with the instrument, or you can buy a new one because they go out of date like everything else. So now let's see if I can squeeze it out of the cardboard. This is it. See, there's not much color on it, but there's some white, cyan, magenta, yellow, black and gray. So this is the instrument that this is the reference that the instrument is going to calibrate on. So what I'm going to be doing, I hope you can see this. I'll move over to the right side, right a little bit, and I'm going to be introduce it inside the machine very gently, aligning it with a notch. There's a notch here. You don't see that because it's too far, but I'm going to, and then it's going to stop here. At that point, I have to do this: press and hold, and then press again. Let's see. This is supposed to be the beginning of the calibration routine. Let's see what it does. See, the motor should be strong enough to pull the band through. Is that enough? We'll see in a second. If this thing stops flashing red, it's going to flash green, and then that means now I'm ready to measure. Now the software receives, garbage, but that's not really a problem. So I'm going to be now starting with the first trip. You can't use these instruments or any other instruments without first being calibrated. Otherwise it's meaningless what they're going to be doing. Okay, so now I'm gonna use, it wants me to measure strip A. So over here there's that notch, and what I do is I position the strip right align center with that notch, and when I'm there I'm gonna press the button, see what it does. See, it flashes green. Now the motor is capable of pulling this chart in, and what do you know, the first row has appeared on screen. So that's the first row of measurement, and here you can't read it because it's too small. It says please read strip B, and strip B is this one. We did A, B, C, D, and so on. So now we're in the strip B. Okay, so here's strip B. Align it the best of my ability, and now it's going to pull it through. And I always like to use my fingers, my hands, to help center it as it goes through. I think it's a good idea because sometimes it starts reading a little crooked, so I don't want it to start reading the row next to it when it should be the third row, you know what I mean? So now again, press the button over here, that's the read button. Wow, see what I'm having? Everything so far is working well. Now we're onto the D column. Let's press the button again. Once you understand how it works, it's no more difficult than sewing. I was told it takes patience and concentration. Now we're on column E, so I'm pushing column E in. See what happens. See where it will take us. See, I'm not touching the paper now. The paper is fed through the instrument alone. The next one is column F. Now you can start beginning to appreciate the time it takes to measure anything with this kind of instrument. But don't forget that there was a time where this was the fastest kid on the block. Well, we're into row column G, and we're reading away column G. Let me see if I can remove this out of the sight. Column G is going in. I'm helping it align with my left hand. So far you see the communications between my computer and the instrument is going well. Nothing has been lost. We're on strip H. This is the before last one. You see, every time I move the chart a little bit over to the right. This instrument was well designed. I mean, they sold thousands of it. I don't know. I don't think they sold millions, but thousands, really thousands. It was very successful, and it was the standard of color management for a long time. Now I don't want to push it in too much, just enough until I feel it's resting on the rear wheels. We'll take a look at those wheels after, just to show you how the instrument is made. So far so good. And let's see, we're on to J. J is on the next strip. And I was J on the next strip, so this is J. Column J. Okay, got it. Okay, it's going in. I align it up a little bit with a little help from my friend. Hope you can hear my comments on the microphone. I have no means to know how far the level is or how high the level is. Hope my voice is not too difficult to understand. I have the microphone 1 centimeter away from my mouth, and I'm using my normal tone of voice. I'm not trying to scream or yell, so I hope enough sound is being captured for the video. And I hope the battery in this camera lasts. Last time I used it, it was okay. Okay. Okay, now we're on strip M. M like mother. Okay, once again, here's that button. You see, it could be measuring away. We're only measuring like 200 and some odd patches. Imagine measuring 3,000 patches with this instrument. It's feasible, but it takes a long time and it takes concentration. You don't want to miss a column and having to redo it, everything from scratch. The software allows you to backtrack, to go to remeasure a specific column, but not all software allow to do this. This software, by the way, I think it can still be found on the internet, even possibly on X-Rite website. This part of the software is free because all it does is to measure, and I think it supports its own instruments. And column P is here, so you want to apply a little bit concentration. Otherwise, if you miss a column or not align it too well, you'll suffer the consequence, and you don't want to have to redo this 50 times. It's laborious. I can't say painful, but it's tedious, but this is better than reading one patch at a time, which is the alternative, or using other instruments. I'll show other instruments later, other videos. So that's the last row already. Wow, we're rocking. So this is the last row going in, and if everything goes well, you see the software has changed, and now what it does, if I can only zoom on it, it shows us the file. Sorry for coughing. And so at this point I'm ready to save it. So I'm going to pull it a little bit on the side. So actually no, I'm going to touch it. If I hover over any of the color samples, I'm going to see here display what's called their lab values, LAB, and there's 288 patches. So let's file, save this, and let's save it on my desktop. And this is my desktop, so I'm going to use some kind of a useful Epson 49,000 RGB, and why not put the date here in parentheses. Okay, I forgot, I think I screwed the date, but this is the file, this is the measurements. Now let's go over to ProfileMaker, which is right here. ProfileMaker will allow us to make an output profile out of these measurements. So I already selected that we want to do a printer profile, and that we're going to be using this reference data. So I'm going to now select my measurement file. So click open over here, locate the open option, go to the desktop, and here's my Epson 4900 RGB. So click OK over here, and I'm going to leave everything to its default state. All I'm going to be doing is click on Start. And now it wants to save my profile into the color folder, but I'm going to leave it on the desktop. I guess I could save it here and call it Epson RGB. And could put the date here. I was trying to put the date before. It's 23 March 2017 already. So save here. Okay, so it's taking time. There's a progress bar. It's taking whatever time it's taking because it's calculating. It has to do two things. It has to do one part of the work the profile has to do, and it has to calculate the other part that the work of the profile has to do. An output profile is always bidirectional. It transforms device values. These are device values that were measured with this instrument. Transfer device values to LAB, and then converts, or alternatively converts from LEB to device value. We'll see an example quickly in Photoshop, in this version of Photoshop. Old version, but ICC profile are supported. You see, no confirmation message of any kind. Thank you very much. So I'm going to click open Photoshop. So this is the target that we just measured, and I'm going to close this image. Let's see if I have something that I can open. This doesn't look like anything. Maybe some kind of image. How about my documents? Do I have anything under my pictures? Okay, sample pictures, Windows XP, doesn't matter. Water lilies or sunset. Okay, sunset. Let's open sunset. So sunset, as you can see, is an RGB image. Now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go over Edit, Convert to Profile, and here I need to find my Epson profile, which is not going to show here. Why? Because on the PC, Photoshop is not dynamic, which means unlike on the Mac, you guys are lucky because all you do is go out of Photoshop momentarily, come back to it, and it'll show you the newly installed ICC profile, but not on Windows. That's not how it works, and it's not changing versions after version. So what can I say? It's not the end of the world. So let's open back our sunset image. Yes, thank you very much. And let's make sure that it's probably been assigned the sRGB image. Let's see, show document profile, and the document profile shows untag RGB, which is the same as whatever is selected here in color settings. So color setting is sRGB, and let's go to the image, convert to profile. Now I'm going to convert the image over here just to show you that this demonstration, but it could be converted inside the printer driver, which I'm not going to demonstrate today. So the source profile is here, the destination profile is here. Hope you can see my mouse. And now I'm going to go down to my Epson profile, which should be in the RGB section. You see, I'm going to try to zoom in there, and if I have to, I'll stop to have better focus. See, the focus on this camera is not dynamic. Thank you very much, Mr. Nikon. Well, looks like this camera has limited capability as far as focusing, so you're going to have to take my word that what I'm selecting now is called Epson RGB, and that's today's date on it. Now here I'm going to leave the intent at relative colorimetric. Click OK. Now the next step would be to print this, process this on the printer the same way as these guys were printed, because we're doing them color management in Photoshop, so we don't have to bother doing it in the printer over. Okay, I'm trying to zoom out. Hopefully it works. So there we are. So you know what? Last thing I want to show you, this machine. Hopefully you can find it, you can see it. There it is, the DTP41, which I want to show you quickly how it's made. This is the plug for the power and the serial port. It's kind of solid. And now let's see how it's done underneath it. I'm gonna pry these two prongs. I don't want to break it. Put it on the like that, and that's how the underneath looks like. You see, there's the front of the unit, I think, and this is the back of the unit, and this is what the unit looks like from the bottom. And what happens is that when we insert a strip, this is where the measuring head here. It's really small. I don't think you can see it all that well. It's a small head. So what we do is we rest the target sheet against those wheels, you see? And when we press the button, what happens is that the strip passes in front of the head and is measured that way. It's a beautiful instrument. This one is in incredible condition, and I'm looking forward to see how it compares to my other instrument, which is an X-Rite 528. There could be some differences, but not a whole lot, because this is a UV instrument, and this paper has very little optical brightener in it, so it's not bound to make a big difference in terms of measurements.